want to make a monster. You don't want to pay Jeremy Crawford, or you just want to fuck with the existing monsters that are there. Good. You're gonna need three things. First, you're gonna need CritterDB, which is basically a site specifically designed to create monsters, which is called Critters in this one. And I have a few bestiaries. You're gonna have to make a bestiary first, which is gonna be the collection of the critters, and then you're gonna have to give it a name, maybe just like this, and then you open the bestiaries up, and there's gonna be a bunch of monsters. Anywho, so I already have something in progress here, so I can just walk you through this. So first things first, whatever the other YouTube videos are telling right now, to just put the flavor in, the race in, the core in, the defenses in, the abilities in, whatever. Don't bother with them. That information is a little bit outdated right now, so don't bother with them. Right, for now you're gonna need CritterDB, a 5e tools, or whatever website that you have that you can pull the monster stat block out of, and then Avrae. The Avrae is gonna be to get the codes to automate the attacks. So you do the name, the description, the URL, the alignment, whatever. That's fine. That's up to you. Then the race, again, I'm doing the Berserker from the Monster Manual 25, so I'm gonna try to keep this as close to lore as I can. So their speed is 30 foot, size medium, humanoid. There's no extra senses, whatever. That's fine. The ability scores, that's all right there, just like that. I've buffed them up just a little bit for no reason other than because my world is just simply a little harder to deal with than usual. The hit dice, you're gonna want to follow this number. Don't bother with this. The constitution bonus will take care of that. So you just want to look at the 98, and then you just put 98 or whatever your monster is going to be, which is the same thing here. Now for the abilities, all the videos that I've seen, which is like maybe 2 videos across the entire YouTube, they'll tell you to generate an attack and then do whatever the fuck you want with it. But there's an issue with that. For whatever reason, after the 2024 update, they just cannot automate the weapon attacks anymore, which means that the d20 dice that has to be rolled to check whether or not it hit, that doesn't work anymore. So it's really no point trying to code the attack into the CritterDB in itself anymore. So what you do instead is, this is a relatively simple one, which is Great Axe, and then you can take this melee attack roll +5, reach 5 feet, hit 9, whatever, 1d12 +3 slashing damage. That's really these two things are the only information that you really need. And now we're gonna go over to one of our guys, and I would suggest if you're making a bunch of monsters, then you have a bunch of preset attacks readied out so that you can just change them at a moment's notice. So bite would be, for me at least, the regular attacks where you just hit and then you do damage. So first you're gonna want to do the text. You can, by the way, just add attack and damage onto a blank attack, so that you can have the target and the attack roll. I'll explain that later. But just make sure to have a text, which is going to be the flavored text, which is just going to show the players what the monster has when you use it in Avrae, just like it does with every other monster. And then you're just going to make a target. The target would be user input, which means that the input of the monster, and then it's going to make an attack roll with the attack bonus of 5. And then if it hits, it's gonna do damage, and sometimes it can have an initiative effect, like if it's a larger, smaller creature, it gets grappled. Sometimes there's monsters in the stat blocks that do that, so that's a different step. that's a different thing altogether. But other than that, you just want to do the damage, which would be what, 1d12 plus 3, 1d12 plus 3, slashing, and you have to make sure that it's in the rectangular brackets, whatever they call it now. I keep forgetting the names, and that would be Great Axe. And now, what you're gonna want to do is export to YAML, and you gotta make sure that you don't click this one, or rather this one on the side, because this one only copies this attack's code, while this one copies all the attack's code when you might have a bunch of them, and the automation's gonna get all fucked up. So only focus on this. Export to YAML, Control A, Control C. Then you're just gonna want to do Avrae hidden, paste the code, and then Avrae. So that should be it. Yeah, that's basically your monster. We can now test this out by adding the bestiary onto Discord, which effectively you can do with bestiary import, then paste the link of the bestiary, not the monster, and then that will import the bestiary, and then you can just start up combat, add berserker, and then if there's an overlap with the other monsters, it will show what kind of overlap there is, and you want to take the homebrew one because that's your monster. So you will add the berserker, and then you start combat, and then when you do IA, you will see that it will show all of the attacks. So it has the Great Axe, a Great Axe, and then it does the attack roll and damage roll, and then the effect, just like any other monster does. That's one aspect of the what's it called, Critter DB done. Now you've known how to automate the most basic monsters. How do you automate something like a dragon, for example? Something that might have multiple attacks, or breath weapons and saving throws and different traits and stuff. Speaking of traits, I forgot to give it the Bloodied Frenzy trait, so I'm just gonna do that right now. You can go to ability, add ability, and then ideally there should be a bunch of them already, like Blood Frenzy. The Berserker has advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature that doesn't have all hit points. Okay, this is different, so we're just gonna... While bloodied, the Berserker has advantage on... Instead of Blood Frenzy, it's Bloodied Frenzy. That's nice. So that's our Berserker completed. Fine CR2 monster. Now let's go over to the Wormling, which is an ugly ass fucking Wormling. It's big too. So now we're gonna translate this guy into a stat block for Critter DB. Now how do we give it a breath weapon? Well, first of all, let's just get this over with. 30, 60, 30, 60 feet, so 30 feet. Chaotic Evil doesn't matter. Alignment, it's going to be immune to acid because it does acid breath. I like this part of the new monster manual because in first edition of D&D, any dragon that did a specific element of damage would be immune to that element. And this wasn't the case in the 2014 monster manual, where a dragon that did fire damage would be immune to fire, or a dragon that did radiant damage would be immune to radiant. So this is amazing that they finally decided to do that. Anyways, the way you're gonna do this now is this. Multi-attack does not need to be automated, because if the dragon has the trait of multi-attack, you can just pretend that it is making multiple attacks, and then you can just have it be that. because we've upped the strength on this one, it's gonna up the roll, and it's gonna up the hit, the guaranteed damage. But see, now we get into an interesting point again, where even if you could automate the regular hit on Critter DB, you can't automate two separate damage types on Critter DB. In which case, once again, you will need this. So now you just change up the stuff here. Attack roll is gonna be a +5, which is the same case. Damage is a 1d6 plus 4, not 43. 1d6 plus 4 slashing plus 1d4 not piercing. This is fucking acid, isn't it? Acid again, square. And easy. You just do Avrae, hidden, Avrae, and that's your basic attack done. Now, what do we do about the breath attack? Well, again, very simple. You add the action, add the description, add the thingamabob, acid breath, and now what you're going to want to do is, let me just make this from scratch. So for this, we're going to add the effect of save for half, because the way this works is if you save the DC 11 dexterity save, you take half damage. So don't change anything on this, just change the acid breath, and on the target, the saving throw, DC has to be 11. When you fail, you take full damage. When you succeed, you take half damage. That's all fine. But how do you do this recharge thing, right? How do you automate the recharge? Well, that's simple too. You have to put monster ability recharge. That puts a button on the caster after they use their ability, which would be in this case acid breath. And then you have to do this manually, which is kind of tedious. You have to change all of this stuff. Don't fuck with anything here. This is basically what happens when you click this button. So it's gonna roll a 1d6, and then on a branch, the branch condition being the recharge int, which is the value, being more than or equals to 5. On true, it's going to remove the initiative effect, which is the expended. It has spent the acid breath, at which point it will recharge the acid breath once again. On false, it's just not going to recharge the acid breath. Simple as that. Oh yeah, of course, the text. You have to add the text, because this description will never show up in Avrae if you don't put it here as a text. But don't put it as a description, put it as a text. That's something you have to be. That's something, for some reason, that is an extremely specific thing that you have to do. Anyways, same thing. Just copy paste the code, Avrae, and that should be it. I believe there's something else. Amphibious. Amphibious. It's over there. The black dragon only can breathe air and water. And now you just put the CR2, and that's your dragon. Now we know how to make the regular attacks, how to make slashing damage plus acid damage, like double damage stuff. We know how to make the saving throw stuff, and then there should be something else. For the most part, you can just work with these, and if there's a bonus action on the monster stat block, you can just code it as a separate action, and then in brackets you can just put down bonus action in the title. So whoever's running the monster knows what kind of monster it is, or like what kind of attack it is. And if you want to deal with something along the lines of, say, unsavable status effects for whatever reason. So, for example, the animator Rug of Smothering has an attack that can smother people. It can give it grappled condition, and while the creature is grappled, the target has the blinded and the restrained conditions, is suffocating, and takes 10 bludgeoning damage at the start of each of its turns. So the way you sort of go about coding that is effectively you just give it both. You just give it grappled, blinded, and restrained condition all at the same time. And then you put in the description that basically you just write it all down in one go. So like you put an initiative effect on the target, and then that would just be grappled, blinded, and restrained. And all of the other stuff, considering the fact that people would more or less know what they're doing, hopefully, that shouldn't be that big of a deal. I think that just about covers all of the important stuff. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Fuck it. I think that's good enough, yeah. I'd see it.